Alright guys, welcome back to our kind of recap of day 2 of Into the West. I know it's been slightly delayed. Basically, at the end of day 2, what happens is everyone goes home. We've all got families and that, so everyone just kind of scatters back off to their houses. And we said we'd kind of get it all done on the Monday. But we've had a couple of delays with the editing and stuff. So it's going to be kind of going up slightly delayed, but that's okay. We've got it. We're all going to be doing individual videos. So you'll see mine, then Lee's, then Lian's, and we'll all go up kind of one by one. So if you want to, you can just skip through. But yeah, I'll try and whistle through it because otherwise we'll be here for all day. So, day 2, my first opponent was a nice bloke called Adam. He had a Mordor list. His Mordor list was 50 million orcs and a load of basic captains and a shaman. Just pure bodies. Um, my I was using Theoden and Garnbury Gun with the Woes Legend Legion. It's the first time I got to use them all tournament, so I was a little bit excited. The scenario we're doing was the capture and control, so where you take the thing and flip it over. So I was fairly positive going into it. Then I saw how many orcs it what actually looked like on the table, and it basically just covered the entire table. My Woes detachment just capitulated. Normally do okay. I mean, they did kill things back. Like we killed a ton of orcs, but it was just yeah, so many of them. So long story short, um, I just got overran by orcs. Theoden led a nice charge down the middle. We smashed through a couple of warbands full of orcs. We both got broken about the same time. So I took down 20 of his orcs, and Simon took him to take down 10 Woses. But ultimately, those Woes were a massive gaping target that I tried to hide as best I could. Hidden down the channel, but yeah, got through. So it ended up being quite close, like on the table. But he had all the backfield things. I hadn't got round to them. My outriders had gone round to them, taken the objectives. But they just, yeah, he got them back eventually. They got drowned and stuffed up. Just pure bodies, which was a pain. Could have probably killed them slower and kept everything more bunched up and worked tighter, but I thought if I spread out. So at that point, I was kind of going into day 2. I knew I was like 1 and 3, and I was just there to have a little bit of a laugh. And I was like, I'll tell you what, let's see how many use orcs the Woes can take up. I'll put them in a channel, I'll do it. I'm trying to overthink it a little bit as well, and started making some fun mistakes, which we'll talk about in a second. Because my second opponent was a nice bloke called Aaron. We're playing Retrieval here. So he had a Return of the King Legend Legion. So Aragorn, King of the Dead, some ghosts. He had 2 ghosts and horse. So Retrieval, I was already like, well, I'm on the back foot movement wise. So I'm going to defend here. I had my Corsairs. We had our crossbows. I was like, yes, I will force him to come to me. I will shoot his crossbows. I'll take him out and hope for the best. I sent a little pack of 6 dudes up to go and get the relic because I had numbers. So I thought I'll slip these guys off, go and get the relic, have a good time. But I made a couple of mistakes back at my home turf. I kept him off it the entire time, which was good. He never managed to actually secure my relic. I managed to get to his eventually. I kept my crossbows back at base, and as they were running across, he sent some dudes over to go and sent a couple of ghosts to go and cut off my Corsairs. But I managed to snipe them out, and then one dude just shielded against the ghosts while the other 2 ran off. I did that one fairly well. What I then did was I split my guys up to go and get the. I had one of the secret missions, which is to get some guys at the end of the board on my opponent's board edge. So I split a couple of guys off to go and do that, and then didn't bring enough back with a relic. So I basically cost myself the game trying to get my secret objective. Because eventually I broke. And once I broke in this game, my torrid luck continued, and every single Corsair I had, bar one model, ran away. So, fortunately, I'd managed. Well, The game is one of these ones where it ends on a 1 or a 2 on a d6. The game went 7 turns. I got written down here after after we started rolling those. 6 of those I would have won the scenario. The first 6, and then eventually all my models ran away to breaks tests. I broke him first. Reavers, sensational in this matchup, just so everyone knows. Absolutely a godsend. They were probably my MVP unit throughout the entire tournament. Absolutely love those Reavers. But not needing Terror to charge, getting +2 to wound on traps. So you're smashing up ghosts on 4s, 4s by 2s, I think it is. Incredible. I had the best time. Especially when you can get extra dice in there, so they're fainting as well. So they're getting, 4s by 2s, rerolling 1s. Great guys. Didn't manage to kill Aragorn, but killed the King of the Dead. So ultimately, Aragorn killed all my heroes on his own, and half my army. So ultimately, I had he had Aragorn left. I had a single Corsair Reaver left. Nothing else was left on the table. I'd moved my relic, but he'd killed my leader. He'd broken me, so it ended up in like a 3-2. 3-2 loss. Which was just it was a slog. And in my final game, I was playing a guy called Sean. Sean had brought Lurch, Sharko, and Ugluk, and just a whole load of Urukai. So again, I was back to using Theoden and Garm. We're playing Domination. I was quite happy about this. Lots of woods on the board, which I got to negate. And he had some warriors in there with his scouts, so his warriors kind of got bogged down by the difficult terrain. So I sent Theoden and a couple of Royal Guard off. Took out his Wild Riders and Sharku pretty quickly. I think we killed that entire warband in 1 or 2 turns. Just deadly. Throwing spears turned up in this game. Blowpipes did nothing, and I was sat there thinking, it's going to be no one of those games, because I missed it in the last 2 games I was talking about, but my Corsair crossbows, up until this point, had killed, I think... we had that 1 game of recon where we did really well. Since then, they'd killed 1 or 2 models over the whole tournament, other than that 1 game. Started with my blowpipes, he got 3 good turns of blowpiping off at them, didn't kill a thing, and I'm there thinking, this is going to be another one of those games. But then his warbands hit me split up, so I managed to get my woes in and surround the first warband, sent a couple of Royal Guards to back of them, picked off some key targets, and that warband went down in a turn. It was pretty brutal. I've never seen woes perform as effectively as that, but it was great. Getting the traps off as well, so getting my +1 to ruin, rerolling 1s, and double strikes, fantastic. And then we did some funky stuff with Theoden and Royal Guard. We were heroic combating and spreading out across the various objectives, just to clear him off. And eventually I won that one 11-0, just by Theoden and the Royal Guard running around smashing face, Woes is trapping people in woodlands and just beating up against trees, and just generally having a great time. So I finished on a high, which was nice. But yeah, that was how my last couple of games went. What I'll do is I'll pop it here, send it over to Lian, so we can see about how theirs went, and then at the end I'll have a quick chat about general tournament life and how it all went for us. So yeah, see you after the other 2.
Hey guys, so it's Lian here. I was asked by Tom and Lee to do a follow-up on the video we did on Saturday night of Into the West. So we had 3 games on Sunday, and when we originally were arriving at the venue, we actually had an opponent already, but they had to redraw due to a drop over the course of Saturday night. So I ended up being redrawn against Bradley Cottington, and the first scenario we got given was capture and control. So I turned up at my table, and I was pretty sure, because Jamie had played him in the first round, that he had canned. I've never played canned in my life. I knew what chariots could do, but that was only because I randomly watched a YouTube video where someone used the chariots, so I knew they did impact hits. and I knew that they did 2 strength 4 hits for everything they touched. He obviously only had an evil army, so I had to use my Rohan, which was Theoden's Legendary Legion. So that was not too bad. I knew that I could get around him, and as long as I could sort of stay away from the chariots impact hits, I was going to be okay. But he was going to be massively outnumbered me, as most evil armies do. So capture and control is the one where you have the five different objectives, which you probably already heard of by Tom and Lee have already talked about this as well. And it doesn't stay under your control. You can basically just sort of tag it, it turns, and then you can walk away from it. You don't have to stay within range of it, but your opponents can also come and do the same, so it can sort of keep going backwards and forwards. And anyway, I managed to sort of skirt away from a lot of Bradley's chariots, because he had a king on a chariot, a chieftain on a chariot, and a charioteer, so he had 3 in total. But he mostly sent 2 to go to one side, which was where Dernhelm originally was. But as I saw where he was coming, I then just sort of ran the other way with Dernhelm to go and deal with the king on the other side. So basically my entire army went in on the side where the king was and some of the other guys. So it meant that I only had to deal with 1. They then went in on those guys, and although the chariot managed to get a good run of impact hits through, I think it only killed 2 models. It killed 2 models before I sort of stunted it and then managed to kill it. That point then the other chariot managed to come around through there, and again sort of tried to do a bit of a run through, hit into 1 model and killed that, and then managed to kill that. And in the meantime, whilst all this was happening, we were flipping objective tokens left, right and centre, and it ended up that I killed his hero, his main hero, so I got points for that, and also broke him as well, so, and had 2 objectives, which meant that I had 6 points. However, there was a key point towards the end of the game where he did a wound on Theoden's horse and a wound on Theoden. It was towards the end of the game, and I kind of wanted to keep the horse for the charge in and use the fate save to keep the horse alive. But it meant that Theoden took a wound, which gave him an extra VP, and meant that I lost that game 7-6 because of a stupid decision I made to keep the horse alive. Whereas if I'd have kept Theoden from taking a wound, then I would have drawn the game 6-all. So, but it still would have been a better result than a loss at 7-6. But yeah, it was a really good game. Bradley was awesome as an opponent. He gave a lot of back and forth. It was very cagey to start off with, so that was pretty cool. But then anyway, onwards to the next game. So the second game of the day, I was against a gentleman called Ben. The scenario was retrieval, which was the capture the flag style scenario, where the board is cut in half diagonally, and then you have each corner in your own deployment zone is where you put your flag, and the whole point of it is you've got to go and control it, capture it, bring it back into your own deployment zone, or get off the board with it. Again, he had canned, so 2 times playing canned now, and only just sort of getting into playing against them, and I get them twice in a row. But again, Ben was absolutely lovely. The way that he set up, there was a wood in one side and effectively set up like an L shape with a king on a chariot on one side and a king on a chariot on the other side, with the aims of obviously trying to box me in. I had to use my Rohan, so again, it was Theoden's Legendary Legion going forward. And I just decided that after the game I had against Bradley, I was just going to go straight in and smash one side of Ben's force. But it was quite sort of 50-50, because I literally just ran straight at him. And it was a case of whoever won the priority roll and won the eventual, obviously, heroic move would get the upper hand on it and would probably get the win. Luckily enough, I won that roll off, smashed into all of that side, decimated that side, took out the king on that side as well, and meant that the rest of his army was then playing catch up to pull round into the rest of my guys, whilst I then killed the one half of his army. Theoden then ran off and retrieved the enemy flag, and then started running back towards the middle of the board edge. And by that point, then his other side of his army had engaged, but I did enough damage to sort of mean that when he came round, I was able to kill enough of his guys to then bring him to 25%, which is where the game then ended. Theoden hadn't yet managed to make it into my deployment zone, so I didn't get quite as many victory points as I could have got. I think he literally had to go back 3 more inches and he would have been in my deployment zone. But that ended up being a win, and it was an 8-0 win to me, because I broke his force, killed his hero, and also got 5 points for getting into 3 victory points for getting the flag and having it at the end of the game. So it was a really good one, but it was very much a 50-50, and Ben was very good gamer, very good player, very good opponent to go up against, and we both realised as soon as the game started that it was going to be a brutal, very quick and bloody affair, and we literally finished the game with about 30 minutes left on the round timer. But the way that we were both playing it, we knew that that was going to be the case. So my last game, game 3, and originally I was going to be playing a different gentleman. We sort of started talking about setups, and then we got announced that the rounds were going to be changed. The pairings were going to be changed. And when it changed, Lee comes straight over and goes, "It's me and you." And so I get Lee Robbins for my last game, which is sort of bittersweet. I'd quite like to play her in a tournament, which is great, but the last game means that one of us is going to be dropping down the table, whereas the other one's going to be going back up. Lee is on more wins than me at this point. He's got 4 wins and 2 losses, whereas I've got 3 wins and 3 losses. So we basically get paired into each other because we've got similar tournament points. And the mission we're playing is Domination, which again is quite an interesting one, but Lee's only got a good guy army. He's only got Dale, so I have to run my Ugluk scouts into him. I'm not looking forward to that massively, because he's got a lot of very, very good, very accurate shooting, and can do a lot of damage to me. And in a scenario where you basically have to hold objectives, I can't really afford to just stay still against his army, whereas I would normally, with someone who doesn't have as much shooting, would probably try and sort of keep a few more bits back. But I have to sort of try and go all in. So I decide that I'm just going to go straight in and try and kill Girion, get rid of him, get rid of the enemy leader, get rid of all the fighting elements of his army, and try and sort of break him as quickly as I can, to start getting rid of and limiting the amount of damage the bows can do. And it worked to a certain extent. I poured straight forwards because of the 24-inch deployment on this one. I was halfway across the board. Called a heroic march with Malher, so I was right up in his face turn 2. Sadly though, with a bit of misplay from me, I lost my banner before I got to combat, so I knew I was going in on the back foot because he had a banner in his group, I didn't. But the mass numbers that got into him meant that I sort of started to pull the advantage round. And there were a few fights that I possibly could have won if I'd had the banner there, which would have meant it would have happened a bit quicker and got through it a bit quicker. But in the end, sort of managed to take out Girion and the rest of his group there, and hadn't taken too much more damage from the shooting side of it. So I limited that down, and because of that meant that I could then swarm round through into everything else, and hold a couple more objectives, break Lee before he could break me, and meant a lot of his force ran away from failed courage tests. And so I was able to hold a couple of objectives quite easily. Lee had managed to contest one, and get points from that as well. But in the end, it was a win for me, which was 6-1. I also managed to get a secret mission out of it as well, which helped me to finish in 11th place. So I was very happy with that. Finished 4 and 3 in terms of wins and losses, and this is my first GBHL event, so I was really happy with the result. But yeah, all in all, really good day. Made some really nice friends and out of it, and had a great day with Tom and Lee. So hopefully I'll be able to get down and play some games against them on the channel as well at some point. But other than that, that's me done. Thank you very much.
Okay, so my thoughts on how my event went. Ended up going 4 and 3, so I was happy. Game was 2 wins, so I exceeded that. Obviously I did 5-2 last time with a couple of secret missions. This time I did 4 and 3, and I think I only had 1 secret mission, which really sucked. Because as you know, my love for the secret missions meant I was right down at the bottom of the 4 and 3s, and actually probably 3 and 4s went higher than me. I'm sure if they got all of their missions or a lot of them, and I didn't, which sucks. But still, 4 wins, 3 losses. Even if I am at the bottom of those 4 and 3s, then yeah, I'll take it. Way better than I wanted to. So yeah, happy days. The army did enjoy. Like I said, the strength of the list is there, and I do think it is a strong list. It's just not for me. The low defense of the Dale lads and the low courage really did annoy me. Well, not annoy me, but I just didn't enjoy it. Being killed on 5s as opposed to 6s that I'm normally used to with dwarfs or ghosts and things, it's just very big. So I'm going to keep the army, obviously, and I'll use them casually. Don't think I'll use them competitively. Maybe I'll chuck them in as allies every now and then with like Army of Thor and see if that works. But yeah, I'm just not vibing. They're just not for me. And sometimes that happens, like in casual games, I like them. They're good fun. In casual games, they're fine, but sometimes it takes like taking a certain army or a list to an event, playing other people, and then going, then straight away you figure out if you like it or not. And I think game 1 I won, but even from game 1, I knew it wasn't for me. And that's a big sign, even if you've won a game. So yeah, we'll still keep them around and I'll use them, but probably just not competitively. Just stick with my dwarfs or my ghosts and things for competitive side, I think. I just want more numbers and harder to kill. That's just my thing. Always has been in any video game or anything like that. It's always been my thing. It's hard to kill, survivable, and that's what dwarfs are. And I love dwarfs. I just love the lore and theme of them more than Dale. Yeah, the new Dale Knights didn't really do anything. I think you either take them en masse, so have the whole front line of Dale Knights, or you don't take any. Having 5, in fact, wasn't worthwhile, so they could just move around them and things, which is fine. And I learned very early on in the test games, in fact, put them on the edges rather than the middle, because then they can still spear support or then wrap round if they don't charge them, which, you know, sometimes they didn't, which allowed me to wrap round. So yeah, they didn't really perform. I think the games I lost, I fell back on the whole trope of I just need to shoot, when actually my 2 captains are fight 5, which would have been massive in my last game against Lian. I didn't chuck them in, and it was only my last game really that I realised, hang on, these games I'm losing, why am I losing them? It's because I was trying to sit back too much and shoot, when actually in a straight shield wall, even though I am defense 5, I've got the fight 4, and I've got the fight 5 with 2 captains, and then a hero, so I've got 3 fight 5 in my battle line. So I should have been a bit more aggressive, and I wasn't. And in each game I lost, could have been improved by having them there. One game I lost was the Maelstrom one. I won the roll-off for priority, so I meant I had to deploy first, which meant he could chuck a Moria Cave Drake into one of my warbands, and it was heirlooms. And I managed to do like some tricky thing with a heroic combating onto a relic, which I'm very proud of. Picked it up, brought 6, happy days. But then you can't run away from a barging 8-inch move monster. Just can't do it. So yeah, that sucked. But then we do have outs all the time. Like I could have moved Gurion into range of the lad with the relic who was running away from the dragon, and heroic moved away. But again, I moved back because I wanted to shoot. Didn't need to. So yeah, that part, like I said, was going to be of the list was going to be human error, which that did work. That was human error. So yeah, I should have just got a bit more aggressive on my battle line at times. Should pay more attention to these secret missions. I didn't. just forget, man, because it's a new army. You're in an event, and still, this is only my second Lord of the Rings event. So I'm trying to remember everything, trying to remember triggers, trying to remember my opponent's triggers and what they can do. Looking at the timer, keeping sure I've not run out of time, or need to run down the clock a little bit, so stall for time, like shielding and things. And yeah, too much to think about with the secret objectives as well. So yeah, that sucked. But yeah, so down not for me, but had a really good event. Good time, very well run again by Matt, as I'm sure the other guys have already said. Seeing all the same faces again. Somehow I got roped into organising the night out, the impromptu night out. Just started off with me, Lian and Tom, and then Lian invited somebody from his round one opponent, and then I invited somebody, and then Tom invited somebody, and before we knew it, we had 12 people rocking up to Frankie's and Benny's, which had to ring and book and all sorts. So I don't know how I got lumbered with that. But yeah, it worked. We went out for some food and some drinks, and it was really cool. Finishes off the day. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Next event for me is probably in Worcester now, and that's a bigger point game. I think 800 and 600, and honestly, I cannot wait to start playing some bigger games. Like, I don't know how to list build for 800 points. I've played it twice. I've only ever done 200 point games, and then I've only done like a couple 600s. So I don't know how to list build for 800 points. So I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in and actually being able to bring things I couldn't normally bring, or multiple things that you couldn't normally bring, and getting stuck in. So I can't wait for that. So yeah, that is my little quick tournament recap. I'm sure I've missed something, and I'm sure Tom will shout at me, but meh. See you guys.
So that was the other two guys and their thoughts about their games. I think a couple of them mentioned kind of how it went for them as well while they were there. I just got a few thoughts on tournaments and stuff overall. There's a couple of bits of advice that we always give out to people whenever anyone asks about heading to tournaments. One of which is always, make sure you know your list really well. Get a good night's sleep, and make sure you eat properly when you're there. What I did here was I ignored all three of those things, and that's what came back to bite me in the bum of it. So I changed my list fairly as last minute as you can for a big tournament. Decided to go to Corsairs over a list that I know really well, and it backfired massively. There was definitely things I hadn't played the play style a lot, so they're very, very static with the crossbows and things. It's just not me. You'll notice on a lot of our videos I tend to use a lot of cavalry, a lot of fast moving lists and things, and yeah, the crossbows just weren't really me. Went into it really tired, had a busy week at work. Didn't sleep very well the night before, the first day. Massively overslept, in fact. Completely missed my alarm and everything, which is very unlike me. I'm normally super punctual, early for everything. It really annoys me. It's great fun. So yeah, completely on that. And then a hotel overnight. Got a fairly terrible sleep as well. And then it was hot and sweaty and wasn't drinking enough water, wasn't eating properly, eating junk and stuff. And generally throughout the event, yeah, fairly that told us making some silly mistakes and things like that. So I just wanted to reinforce that kind of advice for anyone. If you are going to your first event, make sure you practice with your lists. Make sure you kind of get a good night's sleep. And it sounds so simple, but yeah, get yourself a nice night's sleep. Helps you make the best decisions you can do, and yeah, generally have a nice time. Was really good at this event though. We met lots of guys that we have spoken to in the comments and things like that before. Then at previous events, went out, got some dinner and stuff with people. So if you do meet us at an event soon, I know me and Daniel were planning on going to London GT fairly soon. Me, Lee, Lian, Daniel, Scott of SW Miniatures are all planning on heading to an event in Worcester very, very soon as well. So if you do see us at any of those, do feel free to give us a shout and we'll come out. I'm not sure what else we're going to, but we'll definitely let you guys know. And yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry it's been a bit kind of rambly and sporadic, but yeah, just trying to get all our thoughts out. And we'll hopefully see you guys next time. Got a battle report coming up, I hope probably tomorrow. Trying out some fun stuff, and then yeah, see you guys soon. Bye.